Hi guys, this is Grant Nelson again here with the Mustache Off-Grid YouTube channel. I actually shaved off my mustache recently. It was getting kind of hot out here and I cut my hair and shaved my mustache and just cleaned myself up temporarily. So it'll grow back, it'll be back in the future. But also my basketball hoop's been broken since springtime and I'm going to fix it one of these days or get a new one. But I haven't had time to. I've been pretty busy, and that's part of the reason I haven't been putting out a bunch of videos. I've been working, and I'm not doing that now, so hopefully I'll have more videos to put out in the future here. And a couple of the videos I'm going to be putting out is one on the early springtime out here and the projects I was working on at that time, one on right now, summertime, and you'll see it green up and the difference in, you know, the seed that I planted and everything like that, which to me was amazing, seeing the contrast between springtime and summertime. And also I'm going to make a video on Arkansas Gate and a video on okra because I planted a bunch of okra. So I'll probably use the same intro in most of those videos just to make it a little easier so you guys will know which one you clicked on based on the title. You know, I'll just get into it and hope you guys enjoy the videos. Well, Grant Nelson again here with the Mustache Off-Grid YouTube channel. I haven't posted any videos in a long time. I was working a lot, so I kind of ran out of time to post videos back in December or January, around that time. But I decided I'd give you guys an update on the homestead, what's going on, and I'll also be putting out some new videos, hopefully weekly or every 2 weeks, on different topics that and projects that I'm working on, and I'll start, you know, showing you a couple of the projects, you know, just today that I'm working on. You know, things like this livestock hauler, I just figured I'd show you guys. But you know, if you don't have a big old trailer to haul animals, you know, you can build one. I just used woven wire fencing that I already had because I was putting up the fence, and sometimes you get some extra, and just some rough cut lumber I bought from the Amish. I put in this fencing here, this new pasture here. You can see it out there. It's roughly an acre. And I've been clearing more trees here to give more grass. This does grow up as grass in there, but I had the sheep in there and they ate it down. So I've been clearing more pasture for them. And you know, keeping the trees that I'm taking out for firewood. And right there in that big black spot, I burned some, so that'll be nice grassland eventually. But sometimes the wood ash is very good for the soil, but it also is used to make lye, so it also can kill a lot of stuff in the soil if you use too much. And burning a spot like that, you know, I'm not sure how it's going to work out. We'll see. You know, it might be a year before I really start getting grass growing back in there. I put some grass seed in there just to see what it does. But you know, if you read about in South America, they used to use the slash and burn method for clearing farmland in the rainforest. And, you know, a lot of the rainforest has been slashed and burned. So, you know, just something to keep in mind, but it does make very fertile soil with the slash and burn method. I don't use that out here. I'm just burning the branches off the trees, but I do use the wood ash and spread it around the pasture. And I took the wood ash from that pile and spread it around this pasture that I cleared as well. Here's an update on the sheep. You can see there's my ewe. We'll see if we can zoom in on her. I named her Loretta. She's actually bagging up. She looks like she might have some little ones coming here. And that's my ram back there. You can barely see him, but I named him Hercules. So Loretta after Loretta Lynn and Hercules. And I also put a fence splitting that pasture over there. So this pasture is, so I've got 3 paddocks here to rotate the sheep. And that's one thing that's good about sheep. Everyone loves goats, but the sheep don't challenge the fence like the goats do. These are hair sheep, so you don't have to shear them. So they're basically the same as goats, if you ask me, because you don't have to shear them. But they get bigger, so you've got more meat. They don't climb the fences and mess with the fences. You can milk them. I'm gonna, you know, see how I go about milking my ewe after she has her lambs. So I'm gonna let her milk out the lambs and see how long I can milk her after that. But I'm probably gonna get another ewe as well. Just trying to see if I get a ewe lamb, maybe I might keep that and switch rams or something like that. We'll see. But I'm excited for it, and I might eat the lambs too. Just depends what I want to do. You butcher them exactly the same as you butcher a deer, you know, for processing for the most part. I showed you guys the video on processing the deer, the basics. It's really the same process for most of your farm animals. But yeah, it's good grass. You can see it's nice and green out here. Good grassland. They probably got about 6 to 12 inches of grass in here. It don't look that good on the video, but it's a lot better than it looks. I've got some apple trees along here. My basketball hoop's broken, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to fix it. The wind knocked it over one day. I'm gonna fix it, or I might use the pipe for something, some project down the line. We'll see. But I am planning to fix it to give you guys some more of the trick shots. My plan for my homestead is I plant 2 or 3 new trees every year. This is a peach tree I planted this year. It didn't come in the bloom, but I believe it's still alive. There's another one I planted back behind my building there. I planted another apple tree right there. I got it at discount from the store for about $15. And I planted 4 apple trees last year, and 3 of them survived. I wanted to put in a couple more. Apple trees, they can produce about 4 to 6 bushels plus of apples every year, which that's like 300 pounds of apples when they get full grown. So I mean, if you've got 4 or 5 of those trees, they can really provide a lot of feed. They're also a good feed for your animals. You know, chickens, pigs, sheep love apples. And if you're trying to produce your own feed for your meat animals, apples can be a good option, especially for hogs. They're really good. This is some squash I'm growing in here. You can see it's growing real nice. I think there's about 35 plants in there, so hopefully I can get a lot of it. I grew some really good potatoes. I'll show you guys some of them right here. I've just been keeping them in here. But yeah, I probably got 80 pounds of potatoes this year. I've still got them, and I took them out a month or 2 ago. I eat them, you know, they're great food for breakfast. Fry them up with some eggs, and you've got a breakfast all from your farm with just potatoes and eggs right there, and maybe some sausage if you grind it up. This is okra in here, and I've been getting a ton of okra, so I'll show you guys my okra that I picked. I actually just picked some, and I eat a lot of it fresh, just, you know, just snack on it. It's kind of funny to say, but here's some of it. You can see it's real good sized, but that's all. I just picked all that today. I have to pick it every 2 or 3 days. Otherwise, if you leave them on there too long, they get tough. But one thing about okra, it's drought tolerant, and the squash is I like to plant my squash a little later because I kind of feel like there's less squash bugs if I plant them in the first full moon in June. Also, I put the squash in the raised beds that I grew the potatoes in. So I planted the potatoes last fall. I took them out in May or June, and then I planted squash on top of the section where I had the potatoes, so you're able to get 2 crops from the same raised beds. I add rabbit manure and wood ash, lots of it, after I take the potatoes out to kind of replenish the soil. And in the fall time, I'll probably add more wood ash and rabbit manure when I put my potatoes in. And I leave the potatoes down here in the ground over the winter. So that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, I've got a lot of okra. You can see it all out there. This is all okra out here. A lot of weeds in it. I've recently cut the weeds down and kind of been trimming the rows so I can walk between them and harvest it all. I've been clearing a bunch of trees back here. This is going to be a section I'm going to put in a hog pen in about 1 acre to 2 acres. What I'm going to do, I have a whole plan for it. This is obviously going to have a ton of stumps out here and, you know, everything, but my plan is to put the hogs in here. They're going to eat out the roots of the stumps, so this kill them, and hopefully after they do that, you know, they'll stamp down the ground, bring up some of the rocks. I'll be picking up a lot of rocks. I've been picking up a lot of firewood out here I've been cutting. But once I get, even with some of the stumps planting between them and stuff, I like to grow 1 acre of grains back here so I can feed my animals, maybe even just hay it. And also I'm gonna fence it in for hogs, and they'll cut down on all this leaf matter on top of the soil. They'll get all the roots out of the soil. And I'm only going to put them in there a short time till the ground looks, you know, real tilled up by them. And some of these roots and stumps are cleared out. And then I'm going to turn it into just regular pasture or cropland, regular pasture for the sheep. I just want the hogs in there short term to clear it out. And make good fertile land, just temporarily. You know, I'm just going to raise some meat hogs for the fall time. And then I'm gonna, like I said, all right guys, sorry about the brief pause there. My camera ran out of batteries, and just our luck, it started to rain as well, so I just went back to my porch and charged it. Figured I'd show you guys some of the bunnies too. They've been doing very well. They're quite wild, as you can see. I've got more of them. This is just some of them. And here's one of my favorites. I think I've showed you her before. She's just cleaning herself. But anyway, one of my favorite things to do too, I showed you guys that okra. I'll take a rabbit and cook it and stuff it with okra, so it gets all the nice juices and flavor from the rabbit, and cooks the okra. And lately I made this nice little camp spot back here. You can see it's nice, but I also built a smokehouse back here, and it's a cold smoker is the plans for it, so I can hang some meat in there and cold smoke it to preserve it in the winter time. I'll make a video more on cold smoking and more on the smokehouse in the future here, but that's one of the projects I made. Built that picnic table, hung my hammock right there. There's Bailey again. But I'll get back to talking to you guys about the pasture I'm clearing here. And the pasture here, the plan is to have pigs out here short term to clear the soil, and clear the roots, and, you know, get some of the rocks and things out of it. But I've also got plans to use the logs. Good logs right here, and I've been taking more of them from down the hill to build a log cabin back in the woods eventually. You know, it's one of those things, it wasn't really on my list to do, but I was like, man, these logs are so nice. I hate to just cut them up for firewood. So I'm like, well, I'll save them and I'll build a log cabin. Now, I'm estimating that I'm going to need about 35 logs. Right now I've got about 12. I figure I'll build a foot concrete, you know, base to set them on. This one will be one of them too. I just haven't cut it yet. It started raining. I had actually cut some of the logs earlier and it started raining. But anything that's 8 inches plus, I've kind of been keeping to use for building this log cabin back in the woods. So that's another plan. You can see I've got all kinds of projects I'm working on and all kinds of projects I've worked on. I built a second chicken coop over that way. The garden's been going well. One thing about my gardening strategy is whatever worked good last year, I kind of stick with that in a way. So like okra did well. It's very low maintenance, drought tolerant, so I grew more okra. Beets did well, so I grew more beets. Potatoes did well, so I grew more potatoes. I did grow some tomatoes and stuff, but I did a different method and I grew them on the front of my place, and I still have some growing. But really what I'm talking about is I stuck with what worked best when I was growing stuff. Still got the Jerusalem artichokes from my other video. I put in more trees. I've got okra, beets, potatoes, and squash. Those are the things that I focus on growing the most. That's because I can grow mass amounts of them. They're very low maintenance and they grow well. And I expand on what I'm growing. I still haven't done well with peppers and some other things. And certain things I'm sure eventually I'll get to get better at. I do some more, how can you put it, some more experimental things every year. And I mostly am just sticking with what works best. You know, you can grow other things, I'm sure, and I'm sure there's ways to grow them, but they're very high maintenance, and I like a low maintenance garden. Now I water the stuff every day. It's been raining quite a bit lately, so I haven't needed to, but I take care of the garden. But I'm saying you want stuff that's not just going to die off, especially if you're trying to be self-sufficient. You want to grow things you can grow a lot of, and things that you know how to grow and that you can save seed from. I like to grow things that are easy to save seed from as well. So that's just a couple things, you know, that I'm talking about, because I'm saving the seed so I can have a crop and never have to buy seed again. I will say using a lawnmower can be very helpful, you know, for hauling things. Everyone goes out and gets a big tractor and, you know, big this and, you know, four-wheeler and UTV and pickup truck and all those stuff. But, I mean, you don't need a nice truck to haul stuff. You need a used old truck. You know, it just has to have a bed. And a lawnmower, you know, it serves two purposes. You can haul stuff with it very easily, and you know, you can cut the grass with it. Now, I like to let the grass grow as much as possible, but we get a ton of ticks down here, and you are definitely, if you are in this region in the Ozarks, going to want to cut your grass, because otherwise you will be covered in ticks. It's just one of those things. If you've never had a tick before, if you go in the Ozarks and homestead, you will get a tick. I don't care how good you are. If you're in the woods, you'll have a tick. Even in the grass, you'll have a tick, possibly hundreds of them. So you know, just a tip there. And you learn tricks to prevent it in a way. You got to check yourself a lot, but keeping the grass mowed is one of those tricks. And the sheep help with that too, because they keep the grass mowed. But yeah, that's just some of the projects I've been working on. You know, keys. Lawnmower, good for hauling stuff up and down the hill. I used to just use a wheelbarrow or carry everything by hand, and it has helped me immensely using a lawnmower. You know, I can do it all by hand, but I know that it's like the cost-benefit analysis is that thing helps a lot. And it's not an expensive lawnmower. I got it used. So, you know, you don't need an expensive lawnmower either. You just need something basic that has, you know, 15 horsepower to pull stuff up and down the hill, instead of what you have, which is about maybe half a horsepower. I'd say maybe a little more than that, but you know, it's just the point. It is very efficient, very easy, very cheap. You know, I'm very frugal on my homestead. I try not to waste a lot of stuff. All the trees I'm cutting down, I'm cutting for firewood, smoke wood. A lot of it I smoke meat with in my smoker. You know, the log cabin logs, or I use stuff as corner posts or things like that. I don't like to waste the stuff. You know, if I'm going to cut a tree down, I like to use the whole tree. If I'm going to grow a plant, I like to use the whole plant. If I'm, you know, there's all kinds of different things that you can reuse. You know, like I talked about the livestock hauler and things like that. You know, things that you can use that you already have on hand instead of going out and buying something. You know, just little tricks like that can help you a lot homesteading, especially if you want to do it on a budget and not spend $100,000 plus. I mean, if you want to spend that, you can. And if you don't have the arms and the legs to do some of the stuff by hand, then you might have to do that. You know, spend a little more on some gas-powered machinery. All the logs down there that I'm moving, I've got 12 moved so far. My goal is to move 5 a day, and I move them all by hand up and down that hill, and man, it's some hard work stacking them over there. And you know, it might even be dumb of me to stack them over there, I don't know, but I'd rather stack them than have them just laying around, you know, in piles all over, because I want to put the fencing in for that pasture before I build the log cabin, because I weigh my wants and my needs, and the log cabin's a want, not a need. And that's the way I look at it. Sit, come on, sit. Oh, good boy, good boy. Lay down, lay down. All right, good boy. Hey guys, let's make Bailey famous. Let's make Bailey famous. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mustache Off Grid. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, and God bless. Let's make Bailey famous, guys.